Dr. Mercy Joy D. Organa, Teacher 3 of Magallanes National Vocational High School, shall now introduce the keynote speaker of this year's virtual graduation ceremony.
Our hard-working principal, Dr. Michael G. Oseo, our diligent department heads, Ma'am Christy L. Peña, Head Teacher 3 for the Academic Department, and Mr. Francisco H. Giacchino, Head Teacher 1 for the TVL-TVA Department, members of the faculty of Magallanes National Vocational High School, General Parents and Teachers Association President, Mr. Benito Garcia, NVHS Alumni Association officers headed by the President Eustacio A. Bermas Jr., parents, students, friends, graduates, good evening. Born to Mr. Jose H. Hinanay Jr. and Mrs. Agnes G. Hinanay of Binisitahan Norte, she herself was gifted with 4 kids, 3 girls and 1 boy, with her husband, Mr. Ryan Bejison of Kawit Extension. She went to Eduardo Lichan Memorial School for her elementary education. Then went to Magallanes National Vocational High School for her secondary education, to where she finished among the top 5 of her batch. After high school, she went to Bicol University in Legazpi City, where she took up Bachelor of Communication Arts and graduated last 2005. Years after, 2014, she pursued Master of Arts in Management, major in Public Administration in Sorsogon State College, now Sorsogon State University in Sorsogon City. She didn't stop there, for she proceeded to Emilianum College Incorporated, College of Law for her Juris Doctor. While studying, she was at the same time working. From May 2005, after she graduated, to August 15, 2016, she was the Administrative Officer 4 of Local Government Unit of Magallanes. Came August 16, 2016 to July 9, 2016, she served as Administrative Officer 2 for Senior High School Department of Gabao National High School, Gabao, Irosin, Sorsogon. At the same time frame, she was transferred to Huban National High School, Huban, Sorsogon. Fortunately, by July 10, 2016, she was brought back to Magallanes as the Administrative Officer 4 at her high school alma mater, the Magallanes National Vocational High School, until August 31, 2020. Then from September 2020 up to present, she is the Serving Secretary to the Sanguniang Bayan, Office of the Sanguniang Bayan of the Local Government Unit of Magallanes. Truly, one's capability, talent, and skills can bring one to many fields where they will be mostly needed and was made by God to happen. And that is the reason we most likely to uphold now. She is the most suited person to deliver us the keynote message to the graduates of 6th graduation exercises of Magallanes National Vocational High School. Ladies and gentlemen, the most essential woman of the hour, Mrs. Cyril H. Bejison, MNVHS, Batch 2001.
To our school's Division Superintendent, Dr. Jose L. Doncillo, CESA 5, Department of Education, Division of Sorsogon Province, the Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Bernie Despabeladero, the heads and section chiefs of the different departments and sections in the Schools Division Office of Sorsogon, Dr. Michael G. Oseo, Secondary School Principal of Magallanes National Vocational High School in the Municipality of Magallanes, and I would like to emphasize that it is the only technical vocational high school in this town and one of the few tech voc schools in the province. Behind him, on the administrative aspect, are the administrative and non-teaching personnel headed by Mr. Christopher J. Grutas, the new Administrative Officer 4, while on the academic aspect are the head teachers and chairpersons of different academic groups. Dearly beloved members of the faculty, respected teachers of both the junior and senior high school departments of the school, the president and officers of the teaching and non-teaching organization of the school, the president, officers, and members of the Parent-Teacher Association, who also include the parents of the senior high school graduating batch of calendar year 2020-2021, and of course, our dear graduates, the senior high school batch 2021 of Magallanes National Vocational High School. Ladies and gentlemen, mabuhay! Mabuhay sa ating lahat dahil sa panahon ngayon, talaga namang napakaswerteng mabuhay. Napakaswerteng huminga, napakaswerteng makasama pa ang ating mga mahal sa buhay at napakaswerteng magpatuloy pa sa landas na ating tinatahak. Bagamat malaki ang banta ng panganib sa ating kalusugan. At this juncture, I wanted to thank the school for giving me the opportunity of having to speak before the graduating batch of this year's commencement exercises of the senior high school of Magallanes National Vocational High School, and I also would like to congratulate this special batch of senior high who have hurdled the school year despite the challenges of time. Their parents and the entire management and administration of Magallanes National Vocational High School under the able leaderships of Sir Mike Oseo and company. The K-12 program of the government has revolutionized the system of providing quality, effective, inclusive, and relevant education to the Filipino youth consistent with the government's policy to establish, maintain, support a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education. Although at first, there were many oppositions to the implementation of the program, in fact, the validity and constitutionality of the K-12 law was questioned before the court, together with the Kindergarten Education Act and other issuances of the DepEd, CHED, TESDA, and DOLE, so far as they relate with the K-12 law, but no other than the Supreme Court had ruled with finality and said, yes, the K-12 program is a valid program of the government, and K-12 law, or RA 10533, is indeed constitutional. So why am I saying this? It is because, dear graduates, the K-12 law is the one instrumental in introducing to our country, especially to you, the senior high school program. It expanded the years of basic education from 10 years to 12 years because of the added 2 years in senior high school as compared to the previous curriculum. You know that by now. At first glance, it can be interpreted as burdensome for the parents and students because instead of having to graduate in college immediately, you have additional and remaining 2 years to complete before you can be called high school graduate. Sa unang rinig, parang mahirap at pahirap, partikular sa mga magulang at mag-aaral. But, had it not dawned in your mind that the purpose of the law is actually to provide you with the most needed skills and competence as a learner and as a future worker? The current Philippine education envisions every graduate to finish his or her high school as an empowered individual, having the needed skills and trainings in order to land a job just in case you opt not to go to college anymore. Had it not? Because, for your information, my dear graduates, the curriculum gives you options to choose from among the tracks, strands, and specializations. The curriculum offers you freedom to venture into your own interests, be it academic or technical vocational, while it gives you education you need. The curriculum was even contextualized for your needs. Kumbaga sa famous lingo, siya na ang nag-adjust. Si DepEd curriculum na ang nag-adjust para sa inyo. Sana all nag-a-adjust. It is just unfortunate that while the K-12 implementation is still very young, it is in fact only in its 6th year of implementation. Here comes the biggest blow, the biggest challenge in education so far, COVID-19 pandemic. Having took effect only last June 8, 2013, and attained its implementation in the province in the year 2016, it is very premature to gauge K-12 successes or failures. I myself would have been very excited whether or not it results to a higher incidence in literacy or illiteracy, in employment or unemployment, or in the country's gross domestic product, or generally, if it contributes to the overall social and economic development of the Philippines. However, it will be very unfair for the DepEd to be judged at this time, particularly at this time of crisis. So instead of talking about the notorious PISA report, I better leave it here. It is for you to know. The implementation of K-12 education is quite a challenge. The government is still on the process of filling the gaps in terms of personnel, facilities, learning materials, and others. This is typical and understandable because of the infancy of the curriculum. But, in fairness to the government, we have started and was continuously filling the gaps year after another and until they are fully realized, supposed to be. However, with the onset of the COVID-19 virus, these challenges were exacerbated. The previous situation had been difficult. Imagine overhauling the system into an entirely new curriculum. The pandemic had made it worse. As a response, the Department of Education formulated the so-called Learning Continuity Plan last year, based on the premise that education must continue. Despite the circumstances we have right now, it is the conviction of our government education leaders to continue educating the school children no matter what it takes. This is perhaps the rationale when DepEd had contextualized this year's theme, Strengthening the Quality of Education amid the COVID-19 pandemic, translated as Kalidad ng Edukasyon lalong patatagin sa gitna ng pandemya. It might be in our DepEd Secretary's mind when she issued DepEd Order No. 12 Series of 2021 containing the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, a package of learning interventions in response to the threat of COVID-19. Instead of the traditional face-to-face, the DepEd utilized different modalities of learning, such as online education, which is facilitated by using the internet. Here, students rely on online tools and virtual platforms of learning. Distance learning, where classes are conducted between the teacher and students who are geographically remote from each other, and the famous modular learning, which is widely used in our division. Here, the teachers print self-learning materials and distribute them to the students for the latter to answer, then afterwards retrieve them for checking. And other modalities such as the use of the multimedia, radio, TV, and others. Now let me have a little talk on the modular learning I have mentioned. As we have all experienced, the last school year have been an impossible task without the face-to-face classroom discussions. We found ourselves at loss. On your part as students, it becomes wearisome. Generally, you are not used to relying alone to yourself and studying your lessons, right? You get used to attend physical classes inside the classroom where teacher discussing the subject and topic day after day. But because of the modular type of instruction, suddenly you are obliged to learn on your own, study on your own, and understand the lessons on your own. And we know for a fact that these things have inherent risk of not working for us all. First, on the reason that it is entirely foreign to you. Second is a challenge on the comprehension. On the other hand, the heavy loads upon the shoulders of our teachers are much more doubled than yung trouble because of the multiple tasks of printing the modules, distributing them, and retrieving them. Not to mention the regular responsibilities of preparing your grades, school forms, and the likes. That is why on these graduation exercises, it is but proper to thank your beloved teachers for being at the forefront of your education, despite being burdened by the demands of the work. This is also a moment of thanking your parents for being the most forbearing of all, for their endless sacrifice just to provide for your needs and that of your studies. Graduates, after this graduation, is an entirely new journey you will take. In parting, let me leave you one of the motivating quotes from Robert Kiyosaki, which says, "The size of your success is measured by the strength of your desire, the size of your dreams, and how you handle disappointments along the way." Thank you, and again, my congratulations to each and every one.
Magallanes National Vocational High School would like to award the Certificate of Appreciation to our keynote speaker. Allow me to read the content. Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, Region 5, Schools Division of Sorsogon, Magallanes National Vocational High School, Binisitahan Norte, Magallanes, Sorsogon. Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Cyril H. Bejison, Masters of Public Administration, in grateful acknowledgement of her distinguished and invaluable services rendered as keynote speaker during the 4th Graduation Rites virtual ceremony of Magallanes National Vocational High School with the theme Strengthening Education Amid COVID-19 Pandemic, thereby contributing immeasurably to the prestige and success of the occasion, given this 10th day of July in the year of the Lord 2021. Signed, Michael G. Oseo, School Principal 1.